In July 2021, someone paid $1.56 million for a video game. Not a rare prototype, not a one-of-a-kind development cartridge, a regular copy of Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. The same game that sold roughly 12 million copies. The same game that sat in millions of living rooms, shoved into shoeboxes, stacked on shelves, traded in for $4 in store credit. The difference between the cartridge in your childhood entertainment center and the one that sold for $1.56 million was exactly one thing. The shrink wrap. It had never been opened. Just 2 days earlier, a sealed copy of The Legend of Zelda for the NES had sold for $870,000. And weeks later, in August 2021, a sealed copy of the original Super Mario Bros., the game that sold over 40 million copies worldwide, the game that launched the modern video game industry, sold for $2 million in a private sale. One cardboard box, one layer of plastic wrap, never broken. That was the entire difference between a cartridge worth maybe $15 at a garage sale and a cartridge worth a house. Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System is not a rare game. It sold roughly 40 million copies. It was bundled with the console. It was under Christmas trees in 1986, 1987, 1988. It was the game everyone had. And that is exactly why almost no sealed copies exist. A child in 1986 did not buy Super Mario Bros. As a collectible. They bought it to play it. The shrink wrap came off in the car on the way home from the toy store. The cardboard box got torn, crushed, thrown in the trash. The cartridge went into the console and stayed for months. The manual disappeared into a drawer and was never seen again. According to the Video Game History Foundation, roughly 87% of classic video games are now considered critically endangered. They are not in release. They are not being actively preserved. They are simply gone, thrown away, recycled, landfilled. The game cartridges themselves survive in the millions. But the boxes, the manuals, the shrink wrap, those are the parts that vanished. And for a sealed game, the box and the shrink wrap are not the packaging. They are the entire asset. A loose Super Mario Bros. Cartridge in good condition sells for roughly $15 to $25. A cartridge with the original box and manual might sell for a few hundred. The exact same game, the exact same cartridge, but with the original shrink wrap still intact, with a high condition grade from a company like WATA or PSA, just sold for $3 million in June 2026. That copy was discovered inside an unopened NES console bundle. It had not been touched for nearly 40 years. PSA grade 9.6 out of 10. One of only 3 known sealed copies of its production run. The game inside the box is identical to every other Super Mario Bros. Cartridge ever made. The value is in what everyone else threw away. To understand why a sealed game can sell for millions, you have to understand the window. The window begins the moment a game leaves the factory. The shrink wrap is applied. The box is pristine. The game sits in a shipping case, then on a store shelf. At any point during this window, the game can be bought, opened, and played. That is what happened to almost every copy ever produced. For a sealed game to survive to 2026, several things all had to go wrong in exactly the right way. Somebody bought it and never opened it. Maybe it was a duplicate gift. Maybe it was forgotten in a closet. Maybe a collector bought 2 copies, one to play and one to keep, before anyone called that collecting. The sealed copy sat untouched through decades of moves, attic summers, busman winters, cleanouts, cardboard degrades, plastic wrap yellows, stickers peel. Every year that passed destroyed more of the surviving sealed copies. The condition grading itself is microscopic. WATA and PSA, two major grading companies, examined the box corners, the seal integrity, the absence of creases or fading, the centering of the artwork, the print quality. A near perfect grade means the game looks like it came off the assembly line yesterday. It means nobody touched it, nobody moved it, nobody breathed on it. Out of the roughly 40 million copies of Super Mario Bros. Ever produced, only a tiny handful of high-grade sealed copies from the earliest production runs are known to exist. A handful out of 40 million, and the ones that surface now sell for millions. The math is not about the game. It is about what almost everybody did to the box. The sealed video game market was quiet for decades. It existed. Collectors traded. But the prices were rational. A rare sealed game might sell for a few $1,000s. Nobody was paying six figures for a Nintendo cartridge. Then came 2020, lockdowns, stimulus checks. People stuck at home with disposable income and a sudden, powerful nostalgia for their childhood. The collectibles market across every category, trading cards, sneakers, watches, comics, exploded. And sealed video games, already vanishingly rare, went supernova. On July 9th, 2021, Heritage Auctions sold a sealed copy of The Legend of Zelda for the NES, an early production run, for $870,000. It was the highest price ever paid for a video game at auction. The record stood for exactly 2 days. On July 11th, Heritage sold a sealed Super Mario 64, WATA, grade 9.8, A++, for $1.56 million. The first video game ever to break $1 million at auction. The buyer was anonymous. The game was 25 years old. The box was cardboard. In August 2021, a sealed Super Mario Bros. Sold privately for $2 million on the fractional investment platform Rally. And it did not stop there. By 2025, the retro gaming collectibles market was valued at roughly $3.8 billion. And in 2026, it grew past $4 billion. A sealed Pokemon Crystal brought $73,000 at a golden auction. Then, in June 2026, Heritage Auctions closed a $3 million sale for a sealed Super Mario Bros. PSA 9.6, a second production run copy, found inside an unopened NES console bundle, not touched in 40 years, the most expensive video game ever sold, $3 million, for a cardboard box and a layer of shrink wrap that someone, somewhere, never tore open. Here is the dark irony. For 40 years, video game collecting was about the games, rare cartridges, limited editions, prototypes. The object inside the box was the treasure. The box was packaging to be discarded. That is why millions of game boxes went into the trash. That is why parents cleaning out attics kept the cartridge and threw away the empty box. That is why the entire culture was trained to see the shrink wrap as a barrier between the buyer and the fun, something to be ripped off and forgotten. And then the market inverted. The cartridge inside a sealed graded Super Mario Bros. Is worth roughly $20 loose. The plastic wrap around the box is worth millions. The thing everybody threw away became the entire store of value. The packaging became the asset. The game became almost irrelevant. This is the pattern. The $2 bill in the wallet that nobody wants. The catalytic converter bolted under the car. The dead phone in the drawer. The cardboard box around a 40-year-old video game. The value was always there. What changed was not the object. What changed was what people paid attention to. Money is a tool. It is not an identity. But attention is the difference between a cardboard box in a landfill and a cardboard box at a record-breaking auction. And you do not know right now what else in your house you have been trained to see as disposable when the market has already decided it is not. So here is the question. What did you throw away in 1998 because the box was taking up space? What did your parents toss during a spring cleaning because nobody wanted those old games? And if you had known, would you have kept it sealed? Subscribe to Money Fails. Real stories, real mistakes, real lessons. Because the most valuable thing about a 40-year-old video game was never the game. It was the cardboard box almost everyone put in the trash. See you in the next one.